ready?
Ready.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Ready on the right, ready on the left.
Look at the camera. My friends.
Yes.
We are.
Oh, sorry.
You're all of them. We are here today with Lee Barrett. Lee is, gosh, you've done a lot of stuff.
I have.
I can't keep track of all his jobs that he's done.
I have.
Lee is the owner of one of the oldest, the longest
Yep. family-owned
real estate companies
Since 1959.
in Las Vegas.
Yep.
So your mother and father were realtors?
Yep.
I love that.
Am I supposed to answer these with more enthusiasm?
Nah.
Okay.
Nah. Do whatever you want.
Okay.
That's what we do.
All
This
right,
is my show, so
okay.
we do what we want.
All right. Sounds good.
You know I'm cat.
I wish you would have got some powder for my head because I'm shiny.
Are you shiny?
I am shiny.
It's okay. It's real.
Okay, good. Oh, we're live too.
We are live.
And we're not going to be able to edit this out.
No. Nope. You can't edit that shininess.
Yes.
Oh well. Hey, you know, this is the deal. This is how people see us.
I know.
So
Yeah. I'm definitely bald.
this is how they see us. So
Right.
this is real. So you've been practicing real estate for over 40 years.
I have.
Right? In Las
Yep.
Vegas?
Yep. Since 1977.
What were you, like 2?
I was 18.
18.
Graduated high school. Yep.
18. And Lee has also, well, you were the president of the Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors. Were you director before, obviously?
I was.
You had to work
yeah,
your way
you had
up.
to work your way up.
And then most recently appointed to the Nevada Real Estate Commission.
I have been, yep. I was president this year.
President this year, which is kind of a big deal.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and all of these jobs are servant leadership jobs. Like,
Yes.
you're a volunteer.
Yeah.
When you serve on the Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors
there's no pay.
board, nor the commission,
No.
nor the state associations,
No.
and you've held positions in the state too, right?
I haven't. I've been a director, but I've never been higher than that.
Okay, well, that's still,
Absolutely.
yeah. And you're one of the 19 certified instructors in the nation for CRS.
I am. And I think we have some questions about teaching and stuff like that, so that'll
Yeah.
be interesting. I'll be able to help out with that.
So over the last 40 years, you've seen a lot of change in Las Vegas, obviously.
I have. I've seen a lot of change in the real estate business in general. That's kind of the reason why I'm running for director. One of the reasons is because the market is constantly in flux and always changing. But I'm curious and want to be involved. And in 2004 when I was president, a lot of people say, "Well, why would you want to go back? Why would you want to go back and get engaged like that again?" Because there is so much change going on. I want to see and be involved with helping them through the process.
There's a lot of change. Things.
Yes.
I've been licensed for almost 15 years, and it looks completely different, even from 5 years ago.
That's totally different. I agree.
And I think it's like accelerating really quickly in the last few years,
It is. Yeah.
and dramatically changing.
I keep on looking at you. I'm supposed to look at the camera.
You're supposed to look at the
Sorry,
camera.
I apologize.
Yeah. So, as a servant leader in our community, what is the single greatest lesson that you've learned from being the president of the association, from being a part of the commission, like in our industry? What is the single greatest lesson that you've learned?
Well, I think for me, it's completing your circles. I shared. I got this from a friend of mine with McDonald's, and I'll be right back.
You copy.
And so, a friend of mine, I'm also on the Ronald McDonald House,
That's right.
and a friend of mine is an owner-operator, and she was kind enough to give me this. This is the toys for the Lion King, and in 1995, my servant leadership really took off in being involved with the Ronald McDonald House and stuff. But the movie Lion King was really interesting because it had something in that movie that talked about completing your circles and the circles of life. And so one of my goals in life is to make sure I complete my circles, do as much as I can to help.
So completing your circles, meaning doing the most you can to help. What do you mean? How does that look, completing a circle in real estate specifically?
Well, there's so much information that's out there that is interpreted right or wrong. But when you're involved in the board of directors, when you're engaged in the board of directors, you have an opportunity to learn the positive and negative aspects of everything. And so it gives you an opportunity to be a decision maker at that point. And that's one of my goals, is to get back involved so I can help make decisions that favor our members and make sure that we put our members number one in every decision we make.
I love that. So
You have a lot of questions there.
I do.
Okay.
I was up early, like 4 a.m, like jotting them down.
Man, that's amazing.
Brainstorming.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. So let's talk about the responsibility of a director with the Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors, because
Okay.
I think people misunderstand what their responsibility is, what we do, what, as members, how do we communicate, like how can you guys actually make a change? So what is as a director, what is your responsibility?
Responsibilities are to support the association by asking good quality questions. You have a fiduciary and a fidelity relationship to make sure that you ask as many questions as possible to have a complete understanding of any decision that needs to be made by the board of directors. And at that point, when you vote your conscience, and if you win or lose, you go out of that room as one voice. You've made a commitment to go ahead and follow whatever that organization has decided to do. And a lot of times, the importance is just to be in the room and hear all the information, and then leave that room with the idea of being able to help the association accomplish those goals.
Yeah, for the benefit of all members.
That's right.
Yeah. And what are we, 15,000 plus members now?
Just about. I think we're very close to 15,000 members. I was just at
a lot of members.
I was just at the orientation yesterday, and there was about 220 people in orientation yesterday.
This month. That got their license.
Yeah.
And that's every month.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's a huge responsibility. You're speaking the voice of all those 15,000.
Well, that's why you have to ask questions. That's why I agreed to come in and do this interview with you, because I think it's really important for people to hear from us. A lot of you aren't going to be able to make the meeting tomorrow. There's going to be a meeting at the association at 11 o'clock in the morning where all the candidates are going to be there, so you can ask them questions. And a lot of you might not be able to attend, so that's why I want to make sure I was here.
Well, just like anything, voting, number one, is important, and to do your homework on
Correct.
who you're voting for. What is the typical turnout on voting for board directors?
Pretty sad. I think
It's pretty
out
bad.
of our 15, let's say 15,000, we'll probably get a total of about 2,000 people actually voting. So it's a very limited amount.
Well, and that's kind of the numbers too. The people that are actually doing business are probably the ones voting, right?
Yeah, I would say practitioners, and I like to use that term because people that actually practice this business understand the importance of being engaged and making sure that they have people that are paying attention to their needs and wants.
Absolutely.
Are we going to another page of questions?
No, I gotta take my gum out.
Oh, nice.
But this is my show, so I
very,
do what I want.
That's very professional. Man, I'll take my gum out here.
So vote, guys. You gotta vote. Just
Yep.
like any election, you gotta vote, or don't talk shit. Just
Wow,
keep
thank
it to
you for
yourself.
making it real.
Well, I get tired of hearing everybody, and nobody's ever, well, did you vote? Well, no.
Yeah.
Well, it's like,
I agree.
so, all right, so where do you want to see the real estate industry go? Our local real estate industry, where do you want to see it go? Because you had expressed some concern about what's
Well, I think
what's happening.
as we see the change in the real estate industry, my goal is always to protect the agents and protect the brokerages. And so the goal is that even though change is inevitable, that we are ahead of it, that we're looking at it from 30,000 feet up instead of looking at it on the ground, so that we can look at it in advance and know what's going to happen. In fact, last Monday and Tuesday I was at a strat plan for the association. And the strat plan was really interesting because it was that 30,000 foot view. What's the association going to do in the future, and how can they help and support the members in making the members as successful as possible?
Anything you can share with us about
I can't.
that?
It's a secret.
Okay, it's a secret. Really?
Yep.
No.
No, swear. It's not done yet.
Okay,
So we
you're
can't-
not done yet.
We're
All right.
not done yet. The message is not totally framed yet.
Okay. Well, I had posted something earlier about one thing you'd like your local realtor association to address, and I posted this with the purpose of having a conversation with Lee today. And some of this stuff doesn't necessarily pertain to association, our local association and board of directors wouldn't. It's not applicable
It's
to
not
them.
germane, right?
So, but I'm going to go through the feedback anyway, just because I appreciate the interaction that you guys had posted. Barbara, agents need to be held accountable. Absolutely. I mean, they do need to be held accountable.
Well, I think we do that. We try to do that with education. We try to get people to understand that by being a better informed agent, that you have more potential of having less problems, both with the code of ethics and also with the real estate division.
I attended the what is it called? The commission hearings a couple weeks ago. It was actually up north, but watched it locally, and it's very interesting.
It is interesting.
Almost scary.
It is.
And to see disciplinary action and whatnot. It's very interesting. But by the way, as realtors, you can get CE credit for that. So
Yeah,
I highly
you get 6 hours.
I highly suggest
On all 4 of the major ones: law, agency, contracts, and ethics.
That's
So
a new addition though
it
too,
is.
right?
The two
Which is
things are-
awesome.
yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Very informative.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I actually held up 5 fingers. I don't know what the 5th one was, but
that's
okay.
We gotta cut one of those off.
Yeah.
Tony Alata. You know Tony?
I do know.
Yeah, Tony used to coach my brother's soccer
That.
team.
Man, isn't that amazing?
It's amazing.
Tony looks so young to do that.
He is.
He is. Must have been 10 when he coached.
He totally was young.
Yeah.
HOA's taking so much time getting resale packages. Is any
You know, if you
sense on that?
if you look at NRS 645, it's about this thick, and if you look at the HOAs, their material's about that thick, and that's where we as members have to be involved with the legislative process. A lot of the questions of that are legislative, and we're going to run into several of the questions are more legislative in nature. And the HOAs are really a powerful organization, but we as a group are very powerful, and I think that's
for sure.
one of the positions of the director is make sure you get the message out. And the message, as an example, SB 130 about what's going on in the future with your credits and all that. The association will get that information out right away for you.
Well, and it's important to invest in the
SB 230, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
So in that, with
Yes.
the legislative part of it, it's important for us as realtors also to invest in the political survival fund.
Absolutely.
For these reasons, because this doesn't just change on a director level in our local association. This is actual politics.
Well, absolutely. If we remember MRP about 3 years ago, the association between the state, local, and national spent almost $1.3 million to make sure that people couldn't use eminent domain. And so a lot of times we have really powerful cases like that where we get an opportunity to see how all this works. But if we were to just get the members, as an example, if we were to get each member to donate $15 towards that RPAC, what would happen is RPAC would have plenty of money to fight issues. We constantly have issues come up at Clark County and City of Henderson, City of North Las Vegas, where people want to make the practice of real estate more difficult for you. They want to look at different regulations that keep you from doing open houses or your open house signs, and all those things are important. And that's what a combined effort of the association through our legislative arm helps us be able to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I talk too much, I know.
No, it's good. I think I met Lee in 2015-ish when I was a part of, maybe 14, part of the local leadership program, then went on to the state leadership realtor
I was
program.
a dean of that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Which, well, being around for 40 years, done
I've done
some
a lot
stuff.
of that stuff.
But I two things. I learned that all of these positions were volunteer, and also the importance of investing into the RPAC.
Yep.
Because it affects my career.
Absolutely.
Absolutely
Yeah.
does. Okay, so let me read a couple
Okay,
other
let's do.
questions.
I can hardly wait. Do you need my glasses?
No, I
Okay.
do not. I'm
All
I'm good. A couple questions about like barking dogs and also gate codes with HOAs. Again, not necessarily.
HOA and any of those issues are more things that are covered, and we need to pay attention to the next time the legislature is in, which will be 2 years. So those kind of things you need to bring up to political affairs, and we have a committee at the association that's political affairs, and they look for the next 2 years, actually a year and a half, to figure out what issues are things that bother us as practitioners, and they will bring those up and try to resolve as many of those as they can.
I love that committee.
Me too.
And by the way, if you're not on a committee, there are committees for anything that you're interested in. Get involved. I've been on a number of them over the years myself, and
Well, the only way to make a difference is to get involved.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and I know it's hard for you to imagine, I had long hair and I wore an earring.
What?
Yes, I know.
Did it
And
feather?
it was feathered back then. And one of the issues I had back then is I was kind of a troublemaker, and so
Man.
I was finally told, if you want to make a difference, you have to get involved, and that's kind of the reason why I'm getting involved again.
Well, not like you ever stepped away, but back on the local level.
Good.
Okay, so Andrew says, why the current directors do a live video with some of the directors up for re-election and ask them why they motioned to send themselves to arbitration training in Chicago for a week instead of offering training up to the members first.
I'd love to answer that for Andrew, but I was not involved in any of those decisions because I wasn't elected on the board. But a lot of times, I know the state of Nevada went ahead and asked me to go back there because I'm an educator, to go ahead and learn how to do those presentations. So they're always trying to position that we can actually do all that training ourselves. That's an amazing training they do back there, and I'm going to be able to bring that to the local members with some more advice from the state and the National Association. So,
yeah.
I think that answers it. I can't judge why people do other things. I can just tell you that if I got on the board and somebody asked me that question, I'd have an answer because I would have asked enough questions to find out why we're not sending other members back there.
Well, and is it possible that you just had mentioned they asked you to come out there? Is it possible they were asked to come?
Yeah, a lot of times, they ask several educators to go back there so that we could help to inform people. Because, as an example, today we do orientation, and yesterday about all of these type of things the association does. So it's better to have trained people.
Absolutely, training is so important. By the way, Lee teaches a couple weeks ago took a real estate negotiation expert class from Lee.
Rennie, yeah.
That was incredible.
Thank
and
you.
Also have taken, I'm a CRS, certified residential specialist, that I've taken some classes.
Hey, if you don't mind, I'm going to take a minute to push that.
Yes, take it.
So at the end of October, we're doing a group of classes for that, 5 individual one-day classes. The great thing about it is there's over 5,000 members of our association that have 10 years or more. And under a new program with CRS, if you got 10 years or more and you've sold $1 million average every year for that 10 years, you can come and become a CRS by going to 2 CRS classes that week and go ahead and get your CRS under the PRO program. So 2 classes, have 10 years of experience and show that you sold $1 million or more, you're good to go. And we'd love to have you. We're going to have a great turnout. We're hoping to have about 100 people. We're on our way now.
And you're teaching that class?
I am. I'm teaching 2 of them. A friend of mine from North Carolina, Mark Given, is coming in, and he's going to go ahead and teach it. He's He's renowned in the country for trust-based selling. He is the founder of a trust-based selling system, and just a really nice guy.
Awesome. Those are great classes too. Felicia Kerrigan. Her question is about what are the plans for the companies like Zillow, Opendoor, etc. Seems as if we, the association, should be concerned about the invasion into our industry. Feels like we are setting ourselves up to be the next extinct career like a travel agent. What is the association's take on how to not allow these people to invade and take over our industry? Obviously, you're not elected yet, but as a director, what is your stance on that?
You know, in 2015, NAR did a study called the Danger Report. And in the Danger Report talked about these businesses repositioning themselves in the marketplace. And I think it's really important. You know, we can't affect other business models. You know, business models are always going to be out there. And depending on what the economy does, business models do different things at different times. And so I think that what we have to worry about is what services we can offer to our members that will make our members more successful. And that could be a consumer-facing website from GLVAR and some other things. And that was one of our questions, I think, too, a consumer-facing website. So if I'm lucky enough to be elected, I will bring that forward and say, why can't we get more involved? There's going to be some issues with that. You know, all of us have websites, and we all want people to go to our websites. And how does that affect the practice of real estate from a practitioner point of view and everything else? But with my experience and my knowledge, and also my ability being all around the country, I teach all around the country, so I get to see how systems work in very large associations like the Houston Association, like the Florida, Miami-Dade Association, kind of be able to bring that information back to my fellow board of directors if I'm lucky enough to be elected.
So, Robert and Angela Adams, that is that addresses your question as well. We're like the third largest association in the country, correct?
Yeah. Well, I think right now we're the sixth.
Okay.
When I was president, I think we're third or fourth, but now we're the sixth. But you got to remember, you have organizations that are regional, like Miami-Dade, which is at like 52,000 members. So
wow.
You have some gigantic associations.
Yeah. When I was licensed in Arizona in the Phoenix area, they had like 3 or 4 associations in that Phoenix area.
Yeah.
And so they were much smaller.
Yeah.
They were much smaller. In your experience of those consumer-facing websites, such as the Houston one, has this conversation in your experience in the past ever come up in these meetings? I mean, in the state level, on... You
got to remember, last time I was involved, and this was 2004, and we didn't have this...
the internet looked a lot different even then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we cranked it.
I think you did. You drove in like Flintstone cars then, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
You had your clients in there, and
yeah,
you're
funny. That's
Well, 40 years ago. My God, that's a long time.
That's a long time.
Philip Alexander.
Because how old are you?
I'll be 45 this year.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I'm practicing real estate.
As long as I've been alive.
Yeah, thank you for that.
You asked.
I know.
Philip Alexander, we need to make the licensing test more difficult. Like the Series 7 investment license in the financial services industry, where 50% of the people pass on average. That would improve everything. You know,
it's interesting. My other volunteer job, we see most people, not relatively new people, but people that have practiced anywhere between 10 and 25 years, actually being the ones that get in trouble. And so, you know, I think there was a conversation about internship. There's a lot of conversation about that, but all those things are legislative issues, and the only way to get involved in that is to come to those meetings and voice your opinion. And again, we don't want to restrain the ability for people to get into the industry necessarily. You got to remember, in fact, I'm working on my first book. My first book I write by myself. I've been in several books that I wrote with other people. The first book I'm writing for myself is to thrive versus survive in the real estate business your first year. And I think one of the issues that we as practitioners that have practiced for a long time don't understand is that about 87% of the people that are in that orientation today and yesterday will probably fail in the real estate business. And they'll fail because of improper training and not having the right skills and not understanding what the real estate business is all about. So even though we think those people are taking business away from us, or our perception is, they're not necessarily doing that.
So making the test harder is not a board of directors.
It is not. That is
Responsibility.
that is the real estate commission. That's real estate division's responsibility, and so that would be. And that's also real estate division can't do anything without legislative impact.
So invest in your RPAC.
Yes.
That's how you change it.
RPAC is local, state, and national.
Keith Lynham wants to know boxers or briefs.
Boxers.
Keith, you have a fan, Lee. Blair Mitchell letting everyone with a pulse get a license, kind of along the same lines there.
And again, we can't. There's a lot of people that have pulses, and 15% of them will succeed, and those will be the people you'll be practicing against. 87% won't, or 13% will achieve that number.
Right. Pam Jungi. By the way, everybody, thank you again for your
input. We appreciate she's reading on a little screen like that.
No, I can read it. You need your
good.
glasses?
Yes, I do.
Get your glasses then. Pam Jungi, stop fighting technology and embrace it. Why are we so far behind in the prop tech space? The big tech companies will never take more than 20% of this space. Realtors are a valuable piece of the transaction, and consumers know that. Provide a transparent and open place for consumers and agents and brokers to conduct business versus strangling it and making us look like idiots. This is a quick rant.
One of the investments that you should do every year is around November, National Convention, a survey comes out called the Profiles of Buyers and Sellers. And every year it's very interesting. And one of the things they have been watching for years is the impact of us in relationship to other things affecting the real estate industry. And they say that consumers are still driven to real estate agents about 89 to 90% of the time. And I don't think that's going to change. Real estate is still a relationship-based business. In fact, a friend of mine wrote a book a couple of years back called Ninja Selling, and he owns a company called The Group in Fort Collins. And it is amazing that for as small a company as he is, 200, their per person production is one of the highest in the country. So great book if you're looking for a book on how to adjust to what the market's doing, because it's all about relationship. No matter what the market does, as long as you have good relationships, you're going to have a good business model.
That's for any business.
Amen.
Relationship is everything.
Absolutely.
Everything. Pam's second point is, if appraisers have to intern for 2 years before they can perform an independent appraisal, why can a person get a real estate license in 5 weeks, have no actual training in how to conduct a real estate transaction, and go hog wild helping people with what is typically the largest financial purchase
You have to read the whole question.
they will make in their lifetime?
Okay.
Develop viable internship training program prior to setting them loose.
I know.
It's a broker responsibility.
I know
isn't it?
every broker has responsibility based on state statute to make sure that they protect the public. In fact, when I got licensed 40 years ago, my dad wanted to point out on my license that he was supposed to protect the public from me. So that law hasn't
And the
necessarily.
feathered hair.
Yeah.
And the earring.
That hasn't changed. We have an obligation, but again, that's a legislative issue. That's not a board of directors issue, but that's something that our association takes very seriously in the quality of the training they try to give to our members.
And the association has a ton of training. I mean, there's free.
They bring a lot of stuff in.
And our new building is phenomenal.
Love
the
it.
technology there,
Love
it's amazing. And
one of the best buildings I've ever taught in. And I teach all around the country. It's beautiful.
That's nice.
Yeah.
There's a question about realtors giving. Again, we have a community outreach committee that we do a ton of giving through the community, and even individuals. I mean, I'm sure your company. Well, Ronald McDonald House. Lee is
I'm one of the founders.
One of the founders
I
of
helped build it.
the Ronald McDonald House here in Las Vegas.
Yep.
And so you are constantly giving to that organization and many others.
And our association has a benevolent fund. They do so much that they need to promote and make sure that we as members know that there's a group at the association that all the time is trying to figure out ways to help us and help the public, and therefore expand our reputation as being good citizens. And really that's what we want the public to know. We want public to know that we are good citizens and we worry about the community and we want to protect private property rights to the highest level.
Yeah. Mary Perry, you're next. We're doing one of these interviews.
Whoop, whoop.
I'll reach out to
Mary
you.
Perry in the house.
Yeah, so lots of ways to give, and we definitely.
That's when I think I'm trying to be cool.
I know. We always ignore that.
Yeah,
when
thank you.
do that.
Appreciate it.
Professionalism.
Yeah, I'm doing that well today.
Kimberly asked about communication, answering your phones, returning phone calls, especially when you're a listing agent and by appointment only, taking professional photos, not from your cell phone. You getting paid a lot of money, $100 for photos is definitely worth it.
You know, and that goes back to the study from NAR. NAR discovered that professional photos make your property sell faster. And so therefore, if your goal is to be more professional, use quality tools to make yourself successful. So I agree with her wholeheartedly, but we can't force professionalism.
Yeah.
The only thing we can do is, as an organization, give as much education and show social conscience that is the best thing to do for your clients and for yourself.
I agree with the professional photos. I know that in my experience, clients have already made the decision whether they like the house or not based on what they see online.
Right.
And if you, I believe I am not serving my client in the best possible way if I've taken little tiny, if you've ever noticed, you can tell they're taken from a cell phone because they're tiny, they're dark, you know, they're terrible.
I didn't know that.
You've never seen that? I agree, Kimberly. Thank you
I
for
agree,
the feedback.
Kimberly.
But again,
2 thumbs up.
you can't police people on how they run their business.
No.
That's just this is what I believe. Those people will eventually not be in business for a long time.
Yeah, that's one of the changes. You know, the industry used to be able to take our own photos, and now the quality of photos is a requirement of the consumer. And so the consumer says, if I don't have good photos, I don't want to be involved with that particular agent. So it's all self-driven. We're all self-driven by what the market's doing.
Like any business.
Yes.
Like any business.
Absolutely.
Jesse Keenan, realtors adjusting the thermostat at listings. Yeah.
I love that. Man, I've had some high power bills.
Wow.
You know what?
Who does
you know,
that?
you know, we shouldn't have to put notes on stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you're trained in orientation. You're trained to be good citizens. You know, not playing with somebody's thermostat. Please don't do that.
Well, thank you everybody that posted some questions. So a lot of these, what I'm hearing, Lee, is a lot of these don't fall on the shoulders of a director responsibility. Correct. So
Correct.
What would be some things a director, specifically some things, in your experience, a director would address?
Well, you know, directors are first of all looking at what the committees do and the structure of the committees to be able to help the membership achieve whatever goals they need to achieve. And so they review committee reports and they make suggestions, or they vote on those committee motions. So those are budgeted and go through that. They're also there to look, like I said, at 30,000 feet. So they're looking at a strat plan to be able to figure out what the association has to do over the next 2 to 5 years to position us to not have some of the questions that you're concerned about. Will we still be around? I can assure you that one of the reasons why I'm getting involved is to make sure that we're going to be around, that we are still leaders of our industry, that we know what's happening. So the board has a varied requirement to be a fiduciary. And so whatever comes in front of that group is supposed to have the best interest of the association in mind. And so that's what, and there's a lot of things. I could go over a list, but it's probably too in depth to really go into. But the reality is that whatever comes in front of that group, they have a fiduciary and fidelity relationship to make sure that they protect each and every one of you. And so what they have to look at is it good for the whole? And if it's good for the whole, how does that affect our membership? And that's what my goal is going to be.
When you say protect you, you're talking about the membership and the consumer.
Absolutely.
Both.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. I love it. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you think would be important to mention?
Well, I just, number one, vote.
Yes.
Number one, vote. And number two, I'm going to give you my email, and I'm going to give you my cell phone, and I want you, if you ever want to reach out and have a conversation with me, if I'm lucky enough to be elected, and you want to find out what's going on, or you want to get give me your opinion so that I can take that to the board of directors. My email address is Barrett, BARRETT, and ANDCO Inc. at Gmail. I know it's really long. And my cell phone number is 702-460-7355. So again, 702-460-7355, or my email is Barrett, BARRETT, and ANDCOINC at gmail.com. And I'm here to answer any concerns and questions that you have, and I want to be a good steward. Only reason why I'm getting involved in this again is my concern for the practice of real estate. And we have some great people running, and they're all good people, or else they wouldn't put themselves forward. And I hope that I'm one of those people you decide to elect. But if I'm not, I still am going to support the association and do whatever I can to be a good steward. So thank you for interviewing me. That's very cool. I feel excited.
You're welcome. Well, I'll put Lee's contact info in the comments below, but also want to say that I'm voting for Lee, and that is because Lee has been a great example to me over the years. His servant leadership in the community, local, state level, national level. I mean, he travels the country. He's a national trainer. He's very smart. He's kind of funny sometimes, so yeah, there's that. But
we can ask Keith.
Oh yeah. Keith has endorsed his funniness too.
Yes.
So I like surrounding myself. Funniness. That is a word. I like surrounding myself with people that are better than me. And with the 40 years of experience that he has, not saying Lee knows it all, but Lee has definitely, is continuously, it's not like he served in 2004 and hasn't done anything since. We joked a couple weeks ago about some of the positions he holds now, and I'm like, I can't keep up with all your jobs, because all these positions are volunteer positions. And I admire that about him. He will say what he feels. He's not afraid to make a point at, bring something up. And I think the 40 years of experience is, you've seen this.
Yes.
Ups and downs. I mean, how many crashes is that?
That's
a couple. Yeah. He's seen, we're in a really good time in real estate right now. And
we need to prepare for bad times.
Because it always happens.
Yep.
So I'm voting for Lee. Thank you for taking the time today to get my whole setup going.
I tell you, man.
I'll bring a powder girl for your forehead next time.
If you guys saw the huge light that's making my head shiny, you would be impressed.
Well, we look like hostages in here.
I know.
If we don't have any light.
We're both so pale anyway, so that would be tough.
Anyways, my friends, vote. And that's going to be, when is voting? Next 2 weeks?
Voting's next 2 weeks. Yeah, the 16th and 17th, I think, or 15th, 16th.
If you're a realtor.
I don't know. I'm pushing to be elected, so I don't know. I'm just going to go right to that day.
Yeah. If you're a realtor in the Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors, you vote and make sure that another colleague of yours votes, or your office.
Yeah,
take leadership.
Bring a friend to the computer.
Yes, do it.
Yes.
It's important.
Yeah.
I don't know that
Don't vote multiple times, because we'll know that.
No, and I don't know that I understood the importance until I did the leadership training classes. The Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors held a leadership training, and I learned about all these positions and the importance and the levels of the committees and how everything works. And I had been in business for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I had no idea.
No.
And so, now a lot has changed. So vote, contribute to, donate to the RPAC. It's important. That's a separate video, but I need to say that because it is important.
Sure, yeah.
And vote for Lee.
Thanks. Thanks, guys.
All right,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
Have a great day.
You bet. Oh, turn it off.
Turn it off.